My guest on Perspective today has gone from being a music star and artist in his home country of Myanmar to living in exile here in France. It's a whirlwind turn of events that he wrote about in a book published last year, a first-person account of his life on the run after the 2021 military coup. It's titled The Odyssey, Diary of a Burmese in Exile. Joining me now to talk about this is Chow Pauk. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24.
It's an honor.
Reminder, you're a Burmese singer-songwriter, visual artist, activist and author. You have a very long CV. How did you get into music? And tell us a little bit about your life in Myanmar.
My father was a rock singer, and he also was a drummer, so I started out as a drummer. Then I wrote songs, and I had a band. I made a band, and we published a lot of albums. And then I write, I paint, I drew cartoons, and I drew a bit of this and that. Yep.
And I also believe that you initially studied dentistry?
I used to be a dentist, yes.
Okay, so you've done almost everything. Walk us through then how you made the transition from music and art into activism.
To be honest, I devoted myself as a full-time artist, so I wasn't in the radar of a political scene in Burma, but I eventually wrote the theme song for NLD, which is the main opposing party of the military government in Burma. So at the beginning of the coup in 2021, I was targeted because all the artists who used to work with or work for NLD or help with their campaigns, they all got arrested. And luckily I escaped because I got the news a bit earlier. So I left the house.
So this was all things that had happened prior to that coup, prior to the junta actually?
Before the coup happened, I was under their radar. But then, yeah, I was involved in the protest, several protests, and a civil disobedience movement. And I funded a lot of money for opposing government.
And so how did you make the decision to flee? Was it really a spontaneous thing when you heard of your peers being arrested that you thought, okay, I don't have a choice?
They put out a warrant for me first. I was in the 505, section 505A, and they are very serious about that new law that they approved of. They catch you and, they send you to jail for no reason. And at first I was hiding around and in the suburb. And, I didn't try to go out. I didn't want to go out yet. But then they got so serious and killings and sending to jails are like worse and worse every day. And then I can't hide anymore because my face was on TV 3 years straight because I was the judge of the Voice Myanmar show. So it's quite impossible for me to hide around, so I had no choice but to leave.
And this is something, of course, that you talk about in your book, The Odyssey, Diary of a Burmese Exile, in English and in French.
Yes.
One of the stories in there is how you made that journey from Yangon, leaving, I believe, through the jungle and then later coming here to France.
Yes.
Tell us about that journey.
I'll tell briefly about it, yeah. So from Yangon to Thai border, the Korean and Thai border, we had a small bike. We went through the forest with a small bike for 8 hours. And then from
being your family as well?
No, that was me at first because I can't take the main road because there are a lot of checkpoints and my face was they stacked the posters of me and, like some kind of criminals. These people are wanted and stuff like that. So I couldn't take the main road. So I took the jungle road. And then my two daughters joined me afterwards when I got to the Korean Brigade 7.
And this book also explores your life in exile. I imagine that you've got a lot more freedom now than you would have had if you had remained, but it can't have been easy.
The worst part was in Thailand because you have no document as a human being whatsoever. So compared to that, and here you're super free now. I can feel the freedom in the air, and I can do whatever I want, and my daughters can go to school now, easily. Yeah, that's a comparison. Yeah.
But there are no doubt things that you've left behind. Do you look back to your country and feel nostalgia? How do you feel?
Of course. I miss my people. I miss my fans. But luckily, in this day and age, we can still digitally connect to each other. I can still release my books, and of course, it's banned in Burma. But still, that's the best we can do to stay connected. I'll keep writing to be in their daily life. That's what we can do for now. Yeah.
And of course, the junta is still in power there in Myanmar, and they've just held elections,
Yes.
which were widely seen as a sham. How do you watch that going on in your country, and what kind of activism or advocacy are you still involved in here?
For now, I am mainly focusing on my life again, because neither of me or my daughters didn't have a life in 2 years that we spent in Thailand hiding. So now I am trying to make their life, make them feel safe again, and I am focusing on my family. But looking back at Burma, and even now, you just said it's a sham. Everybody knows that it's a joke. The election thing that they're doing now, they will do it, and they will announce the world that it is free and fair for everyone, and of course it's not. And then they will try to regain the legitimacy, little by little. That's what they will do, and it's predictable. So I have no comment on that whatsoever.
And lastly, what do you think can bring change in your home country in this environment?
For now, sadly, I don't see the near changes coming. No, I can't see it.
All right, Chow Palk, thank you very much for your time here on France 24.
Thanks for having me here.
This is your book, The Odyssey, a diary of a Burmese exile.
Yes, that is.